And then we are going to begin here. And then we are going to begin here. Okay. All right. Well, let's get this party started. I'll let some other people in when they show up, but for those who are here on time, let's get going. Let's get going. So, welcome. And by the way, my guest, Matthew, aka the Viking, member of the Navy SEAL Team 6, is going to be joining us next week. I'm excited for his insight. He's going to share with us a little bit of some mindset that we can, it's a Navy SEAL mindset that we can implement into our own lives and into our own businesses. And we'll have an opportunity to ask him some questions. We're going to leave some time to do some Q&A. And so if you have some friends or neighbors who are interested, have them on next month. Not well, the following VIP guest is going to be our neuroscience guest, neuroscientist from Cambridge University. And he's going to be talking about our thoughts and the brain and how it all works and how it all functions. And so I'm excited for our guests that are coming on here. So last week, don't know if you guys recall or remember, but the invitation last week was to do the Daily Dime. And so I've got a few questions that I want to ask you guys, and I want to invite some of you guys to come on and just explain your experience on how it went last week. Did you do it, first of all? Second of all, were there challenges that popped up? What were some of the challenges that you experienced? You're like, you know what? I'm still not quite sure what the Daily Dime is. And some of you guys who weren't here last week and are popping on this week, you're like, please explain what the Daily Dime is. Again, you can go back and gain access to that. So we'll send out another link to the client portal that has the access to all the material. But we might be able to review just a little bit for a short amount of time because I want to jump into our next technique of the week. Every week we're going to share a technique of the week, which is going to help us with our mindset because I believe everything we do is 100% mindset. And so we're going to be focusing on the technique of the week to improve our mindset. We're also going to be looking at how does this have to pertain to leadership and how will this increase my resilience? And so leadership, resilience, and mindset, that's what we're focusing on is to make sure that we maximize our momentum going into each week. And so each one of these weeks, each one of these techniques, they stack on each other, and you may have to go back and review that. And so anyway, so again, coming back, I want some of you, if you wouldn't mind, maybe raise your hand if you want to join, if you want to share with us your experience with the Daily Dime. What were some of your challenges? What were some of the successes? What were some of the breakthroughs? Perhaps maybe like as I mentioned before, like please explain to me really quickly again what that is. But more importantly, I wouldn't say more importantly, but the last question is, how did expressing gratitude affect the things that you did last week, affect the results that you received? And so I would love to just hear from you and get some feedback on how last week's invitation went. Jacob, please unmute yourself, brother, and share with us what your experience with the Daily Dime was.
I think the biggest part, I've practiced gratitude in the past, but that just became a new thing to kind of really focus on. And showing even gratitude, one thing I learned was even for the adversity that we have, because especially sometimes even for the adversity, because that's what makes us grow the most. Just like going to the gym where you have the resistance, you don't grow without that. And so being grateful for the things that have been difficult in my life, I think that's been a huge focus with doing the Daily Dime. And not just being like, oh, that was a hard thing and going through that, but like being actually grateful that's come into my life. These hard things. I think that's probably been the biggest change, is not just being like, oh, that was a thing. And I've gone through that, but being sincere gratitude for those hard, difficult parts of our journey.
Thank you, Jake. What I'm hearing you say is there was a shift. There was a shift in your reframing and a shift in your thinking where you're like, where you used to look at these things as difficult challenges and hard things in your life that you wanted to stay away from and resist. And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to deal with this. You had that reframing and that shift take place where you're like, you know what? I'm grateful. I am grateful for this experience right now because I'm growing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it, Jacob. Anyone else? By the way, I'm just going to quickly share my screen with you and just review um, the Daily Dime and how simple it is or isn't. Um, and again, the possibility principle is the footings. The footings is what, is what the foundation sits on. And the possibility principle, the P squared mindset is really the key to how to, really develop that dream and desire that's going to sit on those footings, but also to be able to do the things that you haven't been able to do before in the past. And again, one way is to have that little shift, be able to reframe your mess and turn it into your message, and look at your crap and turn it into a crop. And so the P squared, the possibility principle. Again, those of you who have not downloaded this, I would recommend that you go and get this. If you scan this QR code or go to griffmotivation.com/shop and get the possibility principle, it's a PDF, and it has this quote in it. It has the principle that this idea of that which we persist in doing becomes easier for us to do. Not that the nature of itself changes, but our ability to do has increased. And so, I want you to write that quote with your left hand, your non-dominant hand. If you're left-handed, it's your right hand, but your non-dominant hand, just to remind yourself on how you got to this point where you can just write. You can probably close your eyes and write, and it will look great. Um, and so this principle of, okay, yes, that which I persist in doing will become easier for me to do. And the daily dime is the technique that's going to help you do that. And so again, the daily dime is just very, very simple. All I want you to do is write down 3 to 5 things that you want to do to accomplish your dreams. You've got to be crystal clear with your dream. If you don't know what your dream is, then none of this matters. You're just being grateful, and you're just going through the process, and you're just going through the things. Now, if some of you guys are like, well, how does this pertain to my job? You could do the daily dime during your shift. 5 minutes at the very beginning of your shift, a daily huddle where you get together and have this daily huddle. Or you could do it at the end. So 5 minutes at the beginning of your shift and 5 minutes at the end of your shift. And that way you get kind of experience the same process of what the daily dime is all about. But the idea is, if perhaps if it's at your work, at the very end of your shift, you gather together and you talk about the things that you did to accomplish the target and the dreams and the desires of your company, of your team, whatever it may be. And then just talk about, okay, well, tomorrow. So you don't have to think about it. Tomorrow, what do you think we could do to really maximize this momentum, and write 2 or 3 things that you want to focus on? And so when you show up, the first 5 minutes, you're reviewing the 3 things that you talked about the day before. Does this make sense? Are you tracking? And so then at the end, and so then you're like, you show up and you're like, yes, this is what we're doing. And again, we're gonna leave it open for flexibility, for things to happen. And so then you leave it open. I like to say to keep your cup empty. And some people are like, keep the seat next to you open for these possibilities of things showing up. And so again, the P squared mindset is a PDF. It's 21-day challenge, and it just walks you through this. And again, you can also get the book, um, the endless possibility book, that just has 90 days of just that pattern of hitting it and being consistent. It's the consistency and the persistency that really changes. And so hopefully that explained things. Gina, please talk to us. What were your challenges? What were your successes? What was your experience?
So I've been doing the daily dime for a little bit, and it was transformative when I first started. However, I realized after talking with you and listening, I've been doing it wrong. I would the night before write all of my gratitude things, and then in the morning, the first thing I would do would be writing out my to-do list. And when I was like, oh no, I need to add the gratitude and then take like the first three, 3 or 5, and leave the rest for like divine downloads and things like that in the morning. That what was what changed for me was showing gratitude for the things I had, but then also being grateful for the things that were on my to-do list. And it made it easier for the things on my to-do list to like come in with a different attitude, I guess you could say, in doing them.
Yeah. Thank you, Gina. This is what I've noticed working with people is that they're sometimes they don't want to get out of bed or they hit the alarm 3 or 4 times because they're dreading the day because they have no idea what they're going to do. They have no idea, how to attack their dreams. First of all, they don't know what their dream is. They don't know what they want, and so there's like, you're like, what am I going to do today? You're like, oh my gosh, I just then you have to have Mel Robbins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the 5 second rule where you just got to jump out of bed and do your thing here. But if you can get into this process with the daily dime, like first of all, get crystal clear with your desire, your target, your dream. You're like, this is what I want. This is exactly what I want. And then these are 3 or 4 things that I'm going to do tomorrow to do that. And so again, your brain can shut off, especially with those crazy squirrels that are going through your mind. You're like, okay, what do I gotta do? I gotta do this. But if you have it written down and put on paper, it's just like it's there. Now I can forget it because tomorrow when I wake up, boom, the first 5 minutes of the day, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to, again, express gratitude that I get the opportunity to accomplish these things. We're going to accomplish these things. Maybe I don't know how. Some of these things I have no idea how. But then at the end of the day, you're like, you get to write the things that you had no idea how it was going to happen. And boom, you get to include it on your list of things that you had to do or you got to do. And then you get to explain, there was no way this was supposed to happen. And then you get to give thanks. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. We have Pierre on here who's in Europe and his dream, his desire is to create this food and wine experience for the people who love food and wine. And so again, Pierre, the dream, every day you focus on the dream, and then every day you're like 2 or 3 to 5 things. This is what I'm going to do to accomplish this, at least what I know. And there could be 5 or 6 more things that happen because you're willing and open to do the things necessary to accomplish this dream. And then again, you, you hear athletes talk about this. You get in the flow, you get into the zone. And once you get into that zone, it's like, you're like, oh yeah. And you can accomplish more things in 6 weeks than you can in 6 months when you're in that zone, when you're in that sweet spot, when you're in flow. And so again, some of you are like, oh, the daily dime is just one more thing I have to do. The daily dime is really it's just a technique and a tool to give you structure. And you can go outside that structure if you want. I'm just giving you the techniques that have worked with thousands of other people that we've done this before. Ty, do you mind? I see your comment on there. Can you explain a little bit about your experience with trying to write it down with your non-dominant hand?
I gotta admit, I gave it up. I gave up. I got through the first like 3 words, and I realized just how hard it was. So that was a really interesting way to bring that concept to life, Jeff. Because I gave up not because I gave up, but I want to pay attention and be present with y'all. So,
Mhm.
but it was a lot harder than honestly. I thought, oh geez, that's not so bad. But then, yeah, no, it's harder than I expected.
Yeah, yeah, 100,
Much like
100%.
life for all of us right now, right? Like we're all going through something. I tell you.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it's going back to what we're trying to find the simplicity on the far side of complexity. And some of you guys are like, duh, I knew this, I do this all the time, but I forgot. And maybe some of us are like, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. And this is just a way for us to get together, to cheer each other on, to encourage each other to continue to move forward. And again, if somebody's struggling and they want to pop on, like, hey, Griff, please. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with the technique. I'm struggling with understanding this. I'm struggling with my team. I'm struggling with X, Y, or Z. Again, I want to create a safe place to where we can get on, discuss, and talk about how do these techniques coincide and implement into my life and implement into how can I implement it into what's happening with me right now. And so again, thank you guys for being on here, being present, and being willing to share. I want to share one quick video that I'll probably put in the link, or actually I'll just put it in I'll just put it in the client portal so you guys have access to it. But this idea of gratitude, expressing gratitude. Who struggles expressing gratitude? Thank you for being honest, Noah, and others who raised your hand. Um, Sometimes it's a difficult thing. Sometimes it's hard to see the positive in a dark gray world. Sometimes it's hard to see the positive when things are just not going well. And it's like, oh, okay, really? Can I really express gratitude? I don't know if anyone on this call can express gratitude to others, but has a difficult time expressing gratitude to themselves. Can you see the good in you? Can you see the greatness in you? Can you, like give the same grace to yourself as you do other people? And again, it's like, okay, gratitude is not just an outward thing, but it's also an inward thing. Noah, please, what do you got?
Yeah. Am I on?
Yes, you are on.
Good. Perfect. It's for me, it's just fine. Like I just get so busy and so consumed in my day that I just bypass it. And
Mhm.
I think you just have to have some constant reminder that to express gratitude.
Yeah.
So I think that's a problem I have. It's not, when I stop for a moment, then I can express gratitude, but it's usually just my day just gets so consumed, and I like my brain's running on the next thing I have, and I think sometimes you just gotta stop and smell the roses. That's the problem I have is stopping to smell the roses.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You're not alone. You're not alone. Because sometimes I'm like so excited to chase down my dream. I'm like, poof, let's just go. Let's just hit the ground running and go. And I don't take the time to be still. I don't take the time to really embrace the 5 minutes. And so that's why I'm this pattern, this daily time, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night is just so important for me and for everyone else that I've worked with. It just works. It's universal. It's a universal principle of, you know what, first thing in the morning, this is what I'm doing. This is a non-negotiable for me, is to boom, hit the ground. Instead of hit the ground running, I hit the ground on my knees, and I give thanks to God, and I meditate, and I look at, and I think about my dreams and whatnot. And so 100%, sometimes we just get so busy and we forget. Now, Gina, I'm going to come to you in a second, but I'm going to share. I just want you guys to take some time here and maybe find a place to write some things down. I'm going to share this video that I just love. You might have seen it before. You might not have. If you have, it's a rerun. If you haven't, I just want you to just sit and be present and listen to some of the things that this gentleman has to share with us. Okay. All righty. Let me see if I can do this properly. I know I can. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it once it starts.
You think this is just another day in your life? It's not just another day. It's the one day that is given to you today. It's a gift. It's the only gift that you have right now. And the only appropriate response is gratefulness. If you learn to respond as if it were the first day in your life and the very last day, then you will have spent this day very well. begin by opening your eyes and be surprised that you have eyes you can open. That incredible array of colors that is constantly offered to us for pure enjoyment. Look at the sky. We so rarely look at the sky. We so rarely note how different it is from moment to moment with clouds coming and going. Open your eyes, look at that. Look at the faces of people whom you meet. Each one has an incredible story behind their face. Not only their own story, but the story of their ancestors. All that life from generations and from so many places all over the world flows together and meets you here like a life-giving water if you only open your heart and drink. Open your heart to the incredible gifts that civilization gives to us. You flip a switch and there is electric light. Turn a faucet and there is warm water and cold water and drinkable water. A gift that millions and millions in the world will never experience. And so I wish you that you will open your heart to all these blessings and let them flow through you. That everyone whom you will meet on this day will be blessed by you, just by your presence. Let the gratefulness overflow into blessing all around you. And then it will really be a good day.
Okay. What stood out to you? What stood out to you? Yeah, Gina, please. You're on mute. You're on mute. Sorry. Can't hear you.
Totally fine, thanks. The thing that stood out to me that I loved was he said, let this day be the day that everyone you meet this day will be blessed by you just for your presence. And that made me think about, like, when we focus on gratitude, like for example, this morning was a crazy morning. Like, the toilet overflowed and it was like total chaos in my house and my body wasn't working, and it's still not working. And normally that would have been a day that would just be like, oh my gosh, today is ruined, right? But because I've been practicing gratitude, and I didn't start really practicing gratitude until I met you and got your book and started the Daily Dime process. it's changed my life in the sense that I see things differently. I'm always grateful. It wasn't that I wasn't a grateful person or like a pleasant person, but there were so many things in my life that were out of my control. Just waking up. Sometimes I could wake up walking and other days I couldn't. And now when I focus the night before on gratitude, no matter how I wake up, I'm still in that sense of gratitude. Like instead of like freaking out that there was water all over my floor, I was grateful I had a running toilet and I had towels right there, easy to grab it. And I was grateful for an amazing husband that was able to come and take care of it when I couldn't, when I physically couldn't. And so it just changes. It literally changes your mind. So that idea of when you're living that way, there you have this light about you, this happiness about you, that you really are blessing everybody with your presence because you're happy, you're smiling, you are seeing life differently, and people can feel that.
Yeah. Thank you, Gina. I love that. In fact, speaking all over the world, I've been to several third world countries as well, and the question I always get constantly is, do you guys really flush your waste down with drinkable water? And I'm like, it's just like, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, yeah, we do. We do flush our waste down with drinkable water. And it just blows their mind. And it's like, oh my goodness. And so again, today's the only day that exists. And so if you're into the future all the time, or if you're back in the past all the time, they don't exist. They don't exist. Be grateful for today. Anyone else want to share anything before we go on to roles? We're going to jump on this technique of the week, which is roles. What's your role? And so before I go, anyone else wants to share anything about gratitude or the film? Lindsay, please unmute yourself.
Okay, so one of the things that I really liked when it said like look up at the clouds, look up, that's one of my favorite things to do is like because it really is different every like 5 minutes, and so even when it was showing the pictures of the clouds, I recognized that that was something that I practiced. So I'm like, yeah, that just makes me feel better and feel like, oh, we're in this magic and this is a beautiful painting that is constantly being created, And so, and it was just so beautiful to see everybody smiling and experiencing their life at different places. So I can already tell that, I don't know, just even this vibe in this room is just like filled with gratitude. So thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you, Lindsay. Absolutely, thank you. While I'm getting ready to transition, will you guys write down in the chats one thing that you're grateful for, or one thing that just brings you joy? For example, this is gonna give you a little insight of who I am, but I love opening up a new jar of peanut butter and taking the first swipe out of the top of the jar. That brings me joy. It's just opening up that jar, taking the first scoop or the first bite of a pizza. I just love that first bite. And so sometimes if my kids will open up the box and there's 2 or 3 slices of pizza with that first bite gone, and they know exactly who did that, who the culprit was. But in the chats, what is it that brings you joy? What are you grateful for? What is it that kind of like reminds you of, oh yes, this life today is a blessing. It really is a blessing. Love them. Thank you. Okay, let's transition here. We're going to jump into this week's technique of the week, which is not gratefulness, but it is roles. How many hats do you wear? I'm just gonna give you 60 seconds. 60 seconds. I want you to write down everything, every hat that you wear, every role that you play. And some people might call them labels. I'm like, yeah, some roles can be labels, but not all labels are roles. What a role is just basically what are the things that you do, like, and who do you do them for? So you may play a role of a daughter, you may play a role of a mother, you may play the role of a charitable organization, you may play a role in your community, you may play a role in your family. Anyway, write down as many roles that you play in these next 60 seconds. Okay, add them up in the chat. I just want you to write, I just want you to list how many roles you came up with in this 60 seconds. And it could be more. It could be more. And some of you guys I ran out after after 10 seconds. 10 seconds, I was done. But again, some of these activities is to cause you to slow down, to think about what you're doing, to think about what you're not doing, because a lot of us will just jump into the habitual mode. We'll just jump into the subconscious mind, which we want to be. We want to have that subconscious mind dictating our lives. But if we have poor programming, if the subconscious mind is full of this poor programming, we don't want to be on autopilot. We don't want to just be going through life on autopilot. Now, I listed here that my wife has at least 10 roles. She is something to everyone, and she's like carries so many things here. I don't know if anyone beat her. I can't see the chat there or whatnot, but I do want to ask this simple question for you guys. With all the roles that you're doing, which one of these do you feel is most accurate? In your opinion, which one of these is most accurate? Number one, be, do, have. Number two, do, have, be. Or number three, have, be, do. So if that makes sense, be, do, have, be, do. In the chat, what is it? What's your thought? What's your opinion on that? What comes first? Do I have to do the things before I can have the things? And then once I have the things, I can be who I want to be? I heard a quote from Bob Proctor one time where he says that, and I adjusted it to make it myself. And hopefully you'll adjust these things that you learn and adjust them to fit your own needs here. But
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay. What's B? Like what do you mean by B?
Good question. Good question. Be, as in be, me. Like again, so again, this quote might clarify some things here. But Bob Proctor says, if I want to be me, then if I want to be free, I got to be me. Not the me you think I should be, not the me my spouse thinks I think I should be. Now, if I want to be free, then I got to be me. So I better be the best version of me. And so, Noah, this question of what does it mean to be? Like, what is your essence? Like, who are you? And again, what I'm hoping to do here is to get to that essence, to get to that core, because a lot of these leaders that I work with and I go into these companies, they want to talk about their business because their business is their identity. Their business gives them that sense of identity. And this essence of being or be is who you are. And so a lot of people will wrap up their identity in the labels that they have, the titles that they wear, the material things that they possess. A lot of people, um, correlate their self-worth with their net worth. Does that help out at all, Noah?
Yeah, it does. So number one for me.
So number one for you. In the chat, you guys put that down there. And Noah, if I can, if you're off mute already here, you say number one for you. Okay, perfect. Why? Why do you say be, do, have is the correct
Well,
equation?
you really can't do what you want to do or have what you want to have until you identify with yourself and who you are. And I identify who I am, like B is I'm a teacher and a student. And I think I will always be a teacher and a student until the day I die and graduate to the next level. I've come to the realization that, I don't need to be anything that anybody else wants. I be me and they have to accept who I am.
Mhm.
So I don't, and I used to be a chameleon, if you know what that means.
Mhm.
Just changing colors to whoever I was around. And then you never really find yourself. But when you get to the stage where you don't give, I'll keep my swear words from the military out of this conversation, but
Yeah, we get you.
you don't give a heck what anybody thinks, and goes back to, like, when people get to a certain age, the closer you are to God is when you get to your 70s and 80s, and you're like just pure love for God, and you're like ready to transition. Um, and those people, they don't care. They don't care what, if they wear their underwear backwards, they don't give a shit. They That's who I want to be, and I strive for that, and I work it every single day of my life.
Yeah.
But it was a struggle to get here, and now that I'm here, that's how I live my life. You either accept me or you don't.
Yeah. I love that. Thanks, Noah, for sharing that. Because here's the deal: going back to the song that sings inside our soul, that music that sings inside our soul, and there's 8 billion people out there, and we don't have to be like everyone else. But the world needs you, Noah. The world needs Anahi. The world needs Gina. The world needs Jacob. The world needs us. And there's some music within us that somebody needs to hear. And if we're not true to ourselves, if we're not true to our being, our essence, then no one can really hear that music. And so thank you for sharing that. Anahi, please, what do you got?
Okay, so I am, we're choosing numbers, right?
Yes.
Okay, number one, because I would say that you have to embody, everything starts in the mind, and then it comes with the thought, and then it comes with the action, and then you do. So it's doing. So when you embody what you want to be, you have to think about it. You have to really be who it is that you truly want to be. Like you just said, finding who you are. Then you do the things that are aligned to that thought process, and have is the outcome of the two combined.
Mm.
What you do in between the be and the do is the cornerstone, what I want to say, the cement block or solid foundation to what the outcome is. Have. So if you want to change your life, or if you're not happy with where you're at, look at the outcome of what you've created, and then work yourself in reverse and see where it is in your mindset that you need to change so that the outcome looks different.
Mm.
That's what I think. Anyways.
I love it. Thanks for raising your hand and jumping on, Anahi. Love it. I really do. And so you agree with Noah that number one is the correct equation. But what number do you suppose most of us follow and most of us do? Is it one, or is it two, or is it three? There's a lot of people that I know of, like, have been conditioned and taught that number two is the way. Number two is the way. You got to do. In fact, all these companies I go speak for, they're like, "Hey, Griff, can you come and bring us the tools? Can you give us the tools that will give us the results? Because we just want our people to do. So we can have. And eventually, once I have all these things, people will say, "Oh man, that person is the greatest," and I can be who I want to be, or do what and so unfortunately, a lot of these people get to that mountain number two, and they're like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what my essence is. I don't know what my role and purpose is in this life that I'm living that I should be grateful for. Anahi, please, you have a follow-up?
I'm trying to practice this so that I don't interrupt people while they're speaking, because sometimes I don't know when they're done. But I wanted to just add that sometimes you don't know, like you said, you don't know who you want to be and who you are naturally. You don't know what your true value is here at this moment. Sometimes having the have and having that as your goal direction and where you want to go, and then just moving towards it is what is how you I would say the majority of people are doing have and then do and then be, because they create these goals that they want to have, whether it's money, big family, or anything like that. They don't know how to get there, but they're moving towards that direction. And that's how you find out who you become. That's how you learn who you are, is through the process of that. But it just depends on how you were raised, I guess.
Yeah. And hopefully nobody feels horrible, like, I've been chasing number three, or I've been chasing number two. I've been trying to do these things, but also you're like, there's a shift that happens. You're like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to lean into figuring out who I am. And again, what's beautiful here is some people think that their mistakes and the way they used to live and their programming, is all this mess and that they're broken. And I really don't believe anybody's broken. I just think that we have been built on a poor foundation, or a sandy foundation, or our programming has just, we haven't had the right programming. But that doesn't mean that we can't change, and that we can't change our circumstances and be who we want to be who we were created to be. And so again, if you think that you're broken, or if you think you're ruined, or you're messed up and it's just horrible, again, forget that. You know, because if you think about marble, why is marble so beautiful? Is it the pure white stuff, or is it the streaks and the black, the streaks of black, and the imperfections in that marble once it's polished up is what makes it really valuable. And so again, if you're discrediting anything that you've done up until this point, don't, because listen, the solution to pollution is dilution. If you want good results in, you got to put good in. And so what we put in is what we get out. Gina, did you have a comment, thought?
Yeah, I so often see people saying, well, when I have this, then I can do this, and then I'll be that. And if you reverse it and you step into, I love the book, Be Your Future Self Now by Benjamin Harding. It's like, no, if you want to be that, you become that, and then you do it. And when you do it backwards, then you step into it, instead of like, oh, I'll be that when I have this and I do this. And it stops you from becoming.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gina. Now, we've shared in the past dream weaving. Why is dream weaving so important, and how you can do that technique? And we've given you the daily dime. I'm going to invite you to continue with the daily dime. And I'm going to invite you to get a little bit more clear on your dream. Pierre, with your food and wine dream, I want you to get crystal clear on what that is. I want you to be able to put yourself in the situation where you can smell and see and hear everything that's happening in this place that you've created, and then see the people who come there as well. And so the daily dime is an opportunity to do that, to contemplate 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. And of course, another thing that I really, really love that has helped me and other people is I go subconscious with dream weaving. And Antoine Eid, who I'm going to bring on as our next guest, he's created a technique called Meet Yourself. He is the only, him and his team have discovered 54 genetic markers that light you up, that identify your personality on a genetic level. The Myers-Briggs, the DISC, the color coordinated, those 16 most basic common personality tests all come from the Ocean Report, if you've ever taken psychology. And these psychological assessments, they just identify the way you think. And the way we think is how we've been programmed. And so really it's like how we've been taught, how we've been programmed, and how we like, you know what, this is how I think. This is, yeah, my brain is developed by the mid-20s. And so you've got the psychological assessment and you've got the behavioral assessment, which is this is what I do. And maybe they align, maybe they don't. Him and his team have identified this genetic assessment that no one else is doing, and it identifies what lights you up on a genetic level, what your personality is on a genetic level, and then you take that triangulation and you get to meet yourself. And so with Dream Women, you go subconscious. With Meet Yourself, you go molecular, and then at the end, it meets up, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much more clarity here. There's so much more clarity here. But until then, it's like, what can we do? What can we do to help facilitate this? Because I believe in the Daily Dime that you're going to be able to discover things, and you're going to uncover things, and you're going to meet yourself in these moments, in these quiet times. When you slow down enough, you're going to meet yourself, and you're going to be able to be, and then you're going to be able to do, and then you're going to have. Be, do, have. And so again, achieving world record results, understanding the difference between roles and goals. Like, what is your role? And maybe some of you guys are wearing 10 hats, like hats, roles, similar stuff there. But again, if you're being everything to everyone, you're not being who you need to be for you. I don't know if you are like somebody else's best number two, where you're just like, you're just so amazing for the person you work for. You're so amazing for the person that you are just serving, or you're so amazing for everyone else. But you're the best number two for them, but you're not the best number two for you. And so I'm going to invite you to be the best number two for you and identify your roles. Like, get crystal clear on what your role is specifically with your dream. Because if you don't know what your dream is, you know, your roles are, you're just going to be everything for everyone. But if you know what you want, if you know who you are, you know what your purpose is and your destination is and your dream, it's like, boom, this is my role. And when people come to you, you're like, you know what, does this pertain to my role? Does this assist me? Is this going to help me help the world? And if the answer is no, then you can simply just say, you know what, no. But goals are not the same as dreams. And we always talk about, what are your goals this year? Really, it's what are your dreams this year? What are your desires this year? What do you want to accomplish? And so dreams are what we desperately desire. Our desires dictate our dreams. Or I like to just simplify it and say desires are thoughts mixed with emotions. Dreams are crystallized desires. And goals are the steps we take to attain our dreams. They bridge the gap. They're the things that we need to do in order to accomplish those things. And so that's just a simple way to understand how this all works. We want to find a simplicity. And so the fourth thing is roles identify what kind of goals we set. Make different goals for different roles. Does that make sense? And so you're going to have different goals for different roles, and each role pertains to a dream that you have. And so what do I mean by that? Well, I am going to jump to this because this is the invitation that I want you guys to do. I'll put this in the client portal to where you guys can gain access to it. This blueprint, you can do this if you want to. You don't have to, but this is just a simple technique that you, again, reverse engineering it. What's your blueprints? What is your blueprints? And so again, once you've identified your roles, you're like, okay. And what I mean by that, and we'll come back to this and we'll probably go into it a whole lot more detail, but there's 4 areas to be aligned. I don't want to get too complex or whatnot. I call it Operation 252. There's 4 areas. There's the physical, mental, spiritual, and social. Those are the pillars of us and you. And so, your desired roles, a personal role, business, family, community. And so again, I believe this being or this be is again the personal. And so that's why I always begin with the personal. You really can't impact your business unless you impact you. You can't impact your team unless you impact you. And so again, it's like, what are these roles? What are these roles that we want to focus in, and what do I want to, identify in those 4 areas? And so coming back to this blueprint, this is what I want you just to simply do this week, along with the Daily Dime. I want you to get crystal clear on at least 3 roles. I don't want you to go more than 5. Just start with three. The three top roles that are going to obtain the results that you want. And I'm going to give you, I'm going to kind of like, I shouldn't use this analogy, but I always do. I'm going to lift up the skirt. I'm going to pull back the curtain. I'm going to open up how we make sausage and whatnot. And I'm going to just share with you my blueprints with you and what I mean by what I want you to accomplish this week. And we're going to share our blueprints next week. Well, no, we're not, because we're going to share our blueprints in 2 weeks. But I'm going to remind you next week because Matthew's going to be here. But we're going to share our blueprints with each other, and I want you to find an accountability partner, and I want you to just get crystal clear. But for example, yes, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to share this. So during my daily dime experience, one thing that I do is I take a look at my blueprint. If I can get rid of it, there it is. And so this is mine. It's on. Can you guys see this? So 2026, I started this in 2016, 2017. So it's just gotten crystal clear, and I've been able to hone in on what my blueprint is, who I am. As Noah mentioned, he's like, you know what? I finally accepted who I am. I finally, identified who I am, and that's just who I am. And if people don't like that, then so be it. They can go find somebody else. And so this year, my word for the year, I know it's 2 words, but it's calm urgency. And so I just simply, this is what's been impressed upon my mind. This is what I want to do, is just calm urgency, steady, confident, gentle pressure to act now. And so I have 5 roles: personal role, friends and neighbor role of a husband, my business role, and humanitarian role. Those are 5 roles that really mean something to me a lot and in depth. And so I just focus on those 5 things. But if you'll notice here, the top level, the top part is the dream. This is my dream. This is what I have established in my own mind. In fact, one way that you can do this, an easy technique, and it maybe sound morbid to some, but is to write out your obituary. Like, how do you want people to remember you as? Like, what is it about Noah that people are going to be writing about? Because that's who Noah is, and that's what Noah became. Because a lot of people just go through life and they end up there and they look back like, oh yeah, I guess I can accept this. Where others are like, you know what? No, I'm going to chart out a course, and that's where I'm going. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what this blueprint is here to do. But again, I'm a celestial heir of the Most High God. I'm living life to the fullest by developing talents to serve myself, my family, and friends. We live healthy, wealthy, and spiritually wise lives, which is part of the Operation 252, those 4 areas. And we live the laws of life with exactness, which brings forth prosperity, peace, and joy. And to get really crystal clear, I'm just like, I am a God-fearing man. I am a God-fearing, powerful, authentic, lovable, and playful man. And then, of course, I write down my desires in the 4 areas. I want to maintain a healthy 180 pounds. In the spiritual aspect, I want to know God, not just know about God. And, the 4 virtues, I'm focusing on those 4 virtues because the 4 virtues lead back to Eden, which is the presence of God. And love is the guide of wisdom. And so prudence, courage. And I have a little quote by Scott Keller. But again, this is what I want my friends and neighbors to remember me as. My family and friends remember me as a man who lifted their spirits, lightened their loads, and loved them. Through my love and light, I inspire others to shine. And so I just get crystal clear on what it is that I want specifically in these roles. Does that make sense? And so, so again, your blueprints, your invitation this week is, I want you to create your blueprint. It may take an hour, it may take 2 hours, it may take, a good chunk of your time. It may just be an hour because you have it crystal clear and to the point. But every year I get to take a look at this. Every day I take a look at my blueprints. Every day I'm like, okay, it's part of my daily dime. And so anyways, that's a little aspect of roles. There's still a few other things that we're going to do in regards to these roles, but is the invitation crystal clear on what I would love for you to do. I want you to get crystal clear on what your roles are. Pick three. Pick three, the top three that's going to move the needle for your dream. Like these three roles is going to move the needle. The first role, I want everyone to choose personal. I want you to get very, very crystal clear on what your dream and desire as a person, because you can't impact your company until you impact yourself. And you won't expand your results until you expand who you are. Anyway, you guys, thank you for your comments. Thank you for showing up here. Invite your friends and families and coworkers to come join us next week. We've got the Viking.
6.
Thanks, Jeff.
Network.
Thanks, you
7,
guys.
house
Take care.
8. Human
Bye, everyone.
development. 9. Personal
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jeff.
self-care.